Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Eater the Garage, and we're looking at a brand new 2023 CBR500R. R stands for road. If it was RR, it'd be road racer. Something like that anyways. We're looking at the bike. No, we don't get to start it up. No, we don't get to hear what it sounds like. No, we don't get to play with anything except stare at it. In like a showroom, it's got some music playing, so I just have it muted. And now we're going to touch the shifter. It's going to be pretty solid. What it should feel like. What I wish my shifter felt like. But yeah, so we're going to go over to the 2015 model I have. Alrighty, so here's our shifter. You see that? That's how much movement's right there. You shouldn't have that. And down here, if I hold this, you can see it's still fairly decent, but there's still some movement to that, and I've actually tightened this up. So you don't really want this. And right in here, if I look at that, it's just worn. So you don't want that. There you go. That's what I wanted to show. And up here, same thing. Now I tightened this up. It was a lot worse. I had almost a ½ inch of play, but still, that's a lot. So what's gotten me to the point where I want to replace that is one, it was bent and destroyed. I put it all back together and unbent and everything. But the second part of that is, I was out with the girlfriend, switched up to second gear. It didn't quite engage. You have to forgive the storm behind me. And it threw us both, and we were trying to turn at the same time, which put us into neutral. And we went from having all the power to no power, and it upset the bike, and we were wibbly wobbly all over the place, which is not good. I obviously got the bike over to the side. We were safe. I didn't hit the curb, anything like that. And when you're not expecting it, it will throw you for a loop. So that's why we're replacing the shifter today. In case anyone's interested in the parts that I have and in the part numbers and all that stuff, here's a diagram. You're welcome. So I got the new shifter components, the rod, the shifter itself. Not sure what it's called. The lever, got some seals, the bolt, those are the seals there, the rubber piece, and even the bolt that goes on top. All because I have a second engine that needs a shifter. So the sloppy jalopy will be reused there, and that's why I went that hard. Otherwise I would just reuse components and kept these as spares in case something happens. And now to remove the old shifter setup, linkages and everything. We'll start by removing the shifter bolt, which has two seals, two rubber seals, and connects with the heim joint up into the shifting rod, which has a right-handed thread nut and a left-handed thread nut, so that when you go to loosen the rod, it'll expand it outwards, and when you go to tighten the rod, it'll bring it inwards, and then give you the level of the actual shifter. Then there's the actuator for the shifter, which is a 10mm bolt, and that is part of the shifter shaft. And then when you slide it off the splines of the shifter shaft, you have to make sure that the bolt is completely removed, because part of it is embedded into the shifter shaft, as every other motorcycle is like that, so that it doesn't accidentally back off or slide off and leave you stranded somewhere, shape, or form. That all being said, we have all new stuff. We're going to use anti-seize, but I recommend using axle grease. I didn't know where mine was, and I wasn't really going to search for it. The anti-seize was right there and then, so it's the same thing, kind of, mostly, you know. But it's my idea to use this stuff as opposed to spending 10-20 minutes trying to find the axle grease. That being said, again, 2 rubber seals go into the shifter, then the bolt goes in. I greased everything up, put it all together, and then I fastened the, actually no I didn't. I put the right-hand thread on the rod and the left-hand thread nut on the rod, then put it into the heim joints of the shifter and the shifting actuator for what actually transfers your input into the gears, and then the 10mm bolt goes on as we fasten it all into place. That all being said, take your time with this, figure out where it goes. I did match mine up to what I already had there, so I counted the threads of the rod, and that's what gave me the length and everything. And then the other thing I did is I made sure I had the same angle from one shifting lever to the other shifting lever, so that I didn't have to rethink it all the way through. I wear work boots, so I tend to like to have, when I ride anyways, and while I work, but that's two separate subjects. I wanted to make sure that it felt exactly the same. You've seen the video that I'm using Crocs to shift. I don't recommend that. That was just a bit of a gag. They kind of like, oh, he runs with Crocs. Like, who does that? They weren't even in 4x4 mode. They were just in the 2x4 mode. That all being said, you get the joke. It was awesome. And we have a brand new tight shifter on the CBR500R. You see that? That's how much movement's right there. You shouldn't have that. It's just worn. So you don't want that. There you go. That's what I wanted to show. So now in comparison, so here's our shifter. You can see it's an immediate. There's no slop. So these are the parts that were what was needed to be replaced. The Heim joints that have basically like a universal joint that move in all directions. Not sure why it had to be that overly complicated, but it is. So we have this piece here as a spare for this other engine. Right here. Not sure what we're gonna do with it yet, but we have one piece for it. We do have to fix part of it. Somewhere. It's one of these that are broken. There it is. That's the broken one. So I have to find myself an aluminum welder, weld it up, drill it out, tap it, boom. Other than that, the engine apparently is supposed to be perfectly fine. We'll find out in the future. Anyways. Alrighty guys, so the shifter is installed. Nice and tight like a tiger. Probably help a lot better with my shifting, which I need. I'll let you know that. And if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.